from the Beyond Unreasonable Doubt Studios, in association with Feitner Productions, it's Lay Down the Law! With your host, Billy DeClercq.
Hey, that's me.
Yeah, that's right, Billy, that's you. Featuring Greenberry Lucas, Lauren Michaels, and Curtis Retherford. Only a madman would dare to bring these people together to build a world of law and order, only to tear it apart with laughter. That madman is attorney Billy DeClercq. The result is a podcast blasted to the farthest reaches of the internet. That podcast is this one, and it starts right now.
Welcome to Laying Down the Law, Earmark Edition, the law and comedy podcast hosted by me. I'm Billy DeClercq, and I'm what you get when you cross Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas with comedian Lily Tomlin. One ringy-dingy, Ginny's on the line. If you don't know that reference, you're too young. All right, I'd like to introduce my guest. First, a returning guest. He's a writer, improviser, and host of the hit podcast Improv Beat by Beat. His writing can be found on McSweeney's and also on Twitter, like a lot. He's a member of Megaplex, the improvised movie. Fluffy and Ghost, he's part of the steering committee for the Comedy Co-op. The Comedy Co-op is a performer-led cooperative in Los Angeles that believes that live comedy should be accessible, affordable, and adaptive to all people, regardless of race, gender, sexuality, size, age, ethnicity, or ability.
How cool.
He is the one, Curtis Retherford.
Woohoo!
Hello.
Welcome back, Curtis.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back, another returning guest. She's an actress, comedian, and writer. You can see her perform stand-up at the Hollywood Improv Lab and catch her latest song parodies and sketches on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, and all other social media platforms that haven't been invented yet. Please welcome the hilarious and very talented Greenberry Lucas.
Hi there.
Welcome back. And finally, we're pleased to welcome back an actor and comedian who enjoys writing while riding a bicycle. Even though she's from Dayton, Ohio, she studied theater at the Stella Adler Studio and mastered making mistakes in New York. We're going to talk about New York in a minute, so that she can share her gifts as a standardized patient in Pittsburgh, influencing and impacting doctors to be, and you're welcome, doctors and patients in Pittsburgh. She enjoys camping and cross-country driving trips, which led her to discover that Los Angeles, California is her natural home. She performs stand-up comedy weekly while procrastinating on other pursuits. Welcome back to the podcast, once again, Ms. Lauren Michaels.
Woohoo!
Thank you. Pleasure
Wow.
to return.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to have you all back on the podcast. But first, before we get into it, a word from our sponsor.
Insert advertisement here.
And we're back. Are we ready to get into it?
But first, I have to
Absolutely.
buy that product.
I know.
Yes.
Actually, I saw, I'm a big fan of Love It or Leave It on Crooked Media. And so I went and saw the live recording last night. And it was great to see it like with no commercials. He'd be like, well, after this, we'll talk about such and such. And we're back. And I'm like, wow, that's a very short period of time. I'm like, okay. No,
Okay.
Nothing for ZipRecruiter right now. Okay. So this is a case that comes out of New York. Not realizing I invited 3 people with strong New York connections.
Yes.
Lauren, NYU. Curtis, I know UCB New York. And Kristen, you lived in New York or grew up in New York?
Yeah. I studied at UCB in the Pit in New York, and I was in a theater company. Yeah. I lived there. I lived in a lot of different places there, but yes.
Awesome. Well, I have never lived in New York. The one time I drove there from Washington, D.C. and saw Phantom of the Opera and then drove back to Washington, D.C.
Nice.
But that's pretty much it for me. So you'll have to fill me in on the New York oriented thing. Everything I know about New York is from movies.
It's just like that.
By the way, the like 4-hour drive from New York to DC, were you just like thinking then about like this? I saw Phantom.
Uh-huh.
It seemed like a long
the
drive
whole
to
way
just
back. It's like,
digest Phantom.
Really let it soak in. You know, it's actually the thing that people don't realize about Phantom of the Opera is it's really, really layered. So you have like, there's like different, there's like just it's complexity. It's almost like you know, like Dylan Thomas levels of just poetry. So subtle. It's so subtle, and yet there's so much to it. You know, what is the music of the night? Isn't that really a metaphor for the human condition?
The music's great. You know, my niece saw it, and God love the youth, because she said, "Why does she like him? Didn't he just kill somebody?"
Yeah.
A good point.
The new
Like,
the younger generation.
yeah.
So, you know,
These love stories don't hit them.
I've seen it and I do not remember any murders. So
there's multiple murders. That's the kind of that's sort of the Phantom's thing. That's kind of what,
He's like very sexy about the murder.
yeah. Actually, since we got on Phantom of the Opera, so when I was in middle school, you know, I was really into theater. My parents knew that there was this show, Phantom of the Opera, that was really popular, and we were in the Bay Area, and so I don't know, maybe it was touring at that point in time, but my parents decided they found tickets really cheap, and they took us to see the Phantom of the Opera by Ken Hill, the Ken Hill Phantom of the Opera, which involved literal opera and a retelling of the story, which was 100% driven by people like my parents who didn't know the difference between Andrew Lloyd Webber and Ken Hill. So we're like, I don't think this is the same thing. And that's literally how I said it, because my voice hadn't changed at the time. This is the same thing. And my dad's like, well, there sure was a lot of singing. I don't know.
I don't know.
Sounded like opera to me.
I love that even Phantom of the Opera has like, we're the original famous Rays, like, you know, like one letter off, like we're Microsoft software. They really tried to just like get in the rubes.
Exactly. Yep. Well, we were the rubes, that's for sure. So this case is a case from 1966.
Wow.
Was a good year.
Yeah, Walkovsky versus Carlton.
Well, this is that like Warhol New York year.
Oh yeah, these are the go-go years.
Man.
Oh yeah, high boots, short skirts, a lot of dancing. You know, my entire knowledge of the 60s comes from watching episodes of Laugh-In. By the way.
The little windows.
Yeah, I think they did do that on Laugh-In. Yeah.
Billy, the more you talk, the more you're like cable guy. Like all of your experiences are like guided by movie television.
I pretty much don't leave my little basement down here. Just everything I know.
Basement Billy.
Yeah, so I guess I'm just tying it together with the Lily Tomlin reference up top, because I do believe that Ernestine Tomlin was a Laugh-In character. So John Walkovsky was injured by a taxi cab.
What?
Yes, severely
So
injured.
was I. Oh, I wasn't severely injured.
Well, tell us about your taxi cab industry. We're going to talk about Greenberry's taxi cab injury and how that relates to this case. Go ahead.
Okay, how does it? Okay, so I was just walking across the crosswalk, minding my own, and a cab hit me. It was going pretty slow, so I didn't like fly into the air. I think it was like, all things considered, very, very not bad. I got hit. It spun me around. The cab like stopped on my foot, just like parked on my foot. And then I felt like there was a very quick response time from the fire department, and no bones were broken, but it was a terrifying time. The people on the street, they were giving me a lot of attention. So if you're looking to be a star in New York City, just walk slow in a crosswalk, and you might get your fandom.
I do think that's probably what
fame.
That's what Walkovsky was after, actually. So how much money did you end up getting?
The settlement, I think, was like $5,000. It wasn't a lot.
Wow.
$5,000. Yeah. And
is that a lot, Lauren?
How old were you?
Well, it's more than I got.
Oh,
wait, you've been hit by a cab too?
Yes.
What the hell?
Yes.
Oh my
really
God, I
crazy.
couldn't have planned this.
When you were in the crosswalk, was your cab making a left turn?
Yes.
That's what my cab was doing. I was also right away in the crosswalk. It was making a left turn. It rolled over my foot, and I slammed on the hood, and I was like, "What the?" And then I pulled over, and he pulled over. I made him stop, and then like the bomb on the corner grabbed like 5 cops in half a second, and before I knew it, I was like wiggling my toes in front of these cops, and they were like, the foot spreads. It's happened to me too. The foot it spreads. I was like, well, you think I need to get an ambulance? And they're like, well, you got insurance? And I was like, no. And they're like, well, you don't want to pay for that. It spreads. He'll drive you. And the guy drove me to the party I was going to, and that was it.
No, you got screwed.
You
First
got
of all,
zero?
what is spreads? What does spreads
Yeah, what
mean?
does this mean? The foot spreads?
The foot spreads.
Like the
What
pose,
does that
like it's
mean?
like if you do a lot of yoga, your toes get further and further apart.
It gets squished into something, and the bones, they spread apart, but they come back.
It's like a pancake.
Like a pancake, it was like a Looney Tunes doctor, yeah.
Because also they're describing the injury, not the recovery. Like saying the foot spreads is like, yes, I know there was a taxi on it. You're supposed to say the foot returns to non. That's my worry.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for here. Return to healing. The other thing, Laura.
Reveal my pancake foot that never came back.
Yes, you have this like floppy giant paper foot. I noticed that. Now I know.
Yeah,
why.
yeah. She always gets picked first for soccer. Go ahead.
Lauren, there's no fault insurance. So they did not understand, like, you should have been able to get, I didn't have insurance either. And that's a terrifying feeling.
Man.
So yeah, you should have been treated.
Yeah, and actually insurance comes into play in Walkovsky versus Carlton. The reason insurance does come in. So Curtis, have you been hit by a cab?
I have never been run over, but I have been hit by a cab probably a couple times while riding like city bikes in New York.
Ooh, city bike.
Yeah.
And did you get a pancake foot?
I got no pancake foot. I got into yelling matches with people people who had just tried to murder me and whose, feeling about almost murdering another human being was, well, you shouldn't have been riding your bike in the bike lane. Just a classic difference of opinion,
Wow, I could not have planned this better. If I could have hand selected guests for this particular case, I couldn't have done a better job. Unless like all of the improvisers I know have been hit by cabs. Every single improviser. Universal experience.
I mean, anyone from New York, yes. I think like on your way to your first improv class, you're generally hit by a cab. The warm-ups. Everybody say your name and how long ago it's been since you've been hit by a cab.
They have the sign on the wall, days since being hit by a cab. Oh, back to zero again. Oh my goodness. Well, we don't get to find out how badly Walkovsky was hurt, but it's serious enough. It's a thing about, law school textbooks. We never really care about how bad the injuries are because there's some abstruse point of law we need to examine that doesn't have anything to do with the injury. So we just take it for granted he was seriously injured. He was, the words in the case says he was run down by a taxi cab.
Okay.
Run down doesn't sound good.
Those cars were heavier than I think.
Yeah.
It spreads.
Yeah, these are the ones. These are the ones from the television show Taxi from the 1960s.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Those are big.
Those are big. They're
more than years later. Run down feels like, in The Great Gatsby, like when is it like Daisy hits a guy and like I imagine that. I imagine like old
keeps going. Yeah,
exactly. You are
like
Daisy.
See, when I hear it, I think it's kind of like this miracle where like it like bumps him and he falls over and he falls down, he runs down and the car just keeps going, but there's really nothing too crazy going on.
Greenberry, the optimist.
Yeah.
Got nudged.
Yeah. So, the abstract point of law, the reason why we're here has to do with the way that the taxi cab companies are structured. in order to avoid liability. The case was brought not just against the cab company that hit Walkovsky, which was Sion Cab Corporation, but it was brought against the owner, a William Carlton.
Oh.
But they also tried to bring it against 9 other corporations in which other taxi cabs were registered, because each of the corporations owned only 2 taxi cabs, and all of the individual corporations were owned by this William Carlton and 2 other guys.
A little shiesty fella.
Yeah, so every corporation, 2 cabs, and apparently you couldn't sue against the medallion because I guess there's a law that says you can't capture that asset as part of a judgment. So $10,000 minimum liability for each cab. That's the liability coverage that was required. And the cabs were all mortgaged, basically. So there was no value in any of the companies. So Walkovsky's lawyers are saying we need to have a good defendant. We got to sue all 10 cab companies. There's 20 different cabs, plus the owner of the garage, plus the owners of the companies. And they're basically, they call it a single network and a single enterprise. The idea was Carlton was the controlling shareholder of these 10 different corporations. They had no other assets.
And so Carlton, because the minimum liability is that 10,000 per cab, basically has the bright idea of like, if I split it into 9 companies rather than holding 180,000, he just has to hold 20,000, 20,000, 20,000, 20,000.
Right. So that when he gets sued,
so it's maximum... like a Hydra type thing, right? Like you cut off one of my companies. Well, I've got 8 other companies that are just fine.
Exactly.
Oh, when you're saying Hydra, you're talking about like a monster.
Yeah, multi-headed.
Yes, yeah, like the old Greek monster, all the like different snake heads. It's like, well, you cut off one head, that's fine. There's 8 other heads. I've got more heads, people.
I got more heads. That's why them cabs are running all over New York. Running all the New York is over. It's because people like Carlton.
Yeah, that's right. Carlton's it's just, and it is, apparently it was kind of the norm to set up cab companies this way. It wasn't
seems
unusual.
Like it didn't change too much.
Right. So the idea was the most you could get if you got injured is $20,000, because the only asset with these was the minimum liability insurance, and you couldn't go against all of the different cab companies. And basically the point of the plaintiff was, you're a giant cab company. You have all these different cabs and you're pretending to be a little small company in order to basically defraud the public.
Yeah.
He says the same 3 guys were the stockholders, directors, and officers of all the corporations. All of the employees were all employees of the other companies. They were assigned interchangeably to the corporations. Basically, you came in one day and they're like, you're driving cab number 4. And you're like, but that's not a Sion cab. They're like, that's fine. You're going to that one. That's the one that's available. And then the allegation was that the receipts, the expenses, the assets, and the properties were interchanged and intermingled by the defendants as their own, that they centrally purchased all their supplies, all the parts, all the oil, all the gas, and all the tires. They were all garaged in one place. And all the operations of the properties were operated, controlled, managed, maintained as a single entity, unit, and enterprise by the defendants.
Who finds this stuff out, Billy?
Well,
that's a lot of research to find, like, somebody who is that?
So procedurally, where we are in this case is this is just the very beginning of the case. So these are just allegations in the complaint. So because of the type of a motion that we have here, it's an early motion, like a motion to dismiss, which means you can't sue me. Doesn't matter if everything they say is true, you can't sue me. So these are just allegations. You have the process called discovery to go out and find out if it's true, or there's some investigation that can be done.
And this is where, like in the movie version of it, you have the classic, the lawyers going through the paperwork and then goes, wait a minute, Sion cabs, they have the same address as Sion cabs and Siop cabs and Sioff cabs.
Right. Yeah. And because the corporation addresses, that's public information. So it's pretty easy to put together that these are different things, and they could have alleged these things without knowing for sure that it's true. Or they might have known it based on investigation. They're going around in long trench coats and asking people questions.
Always in the trench coat.
That's right. And they borrowed money for all the different corporations, and they're saying it was all mixed up. All the money was mixed up between all these different companies, and basically said the point is that this is a fraud on the public. You're mixing all these different corporations together. They're just structured this way in a way that you don't have to pay if somebody gets hurt.
We aren't for that.
And And basically, we should be able to sue all these other companies because otherwise the most we're going to get is $20,000. And John Walkovsky was run down by a cab. It wasn't just his foot, it was something more serious.
Or not. Who knows?
So Carlton does a motion to dismiss and says, I'm not personally responsible for the Sion Cab Corporation. I'm just the owner. And the trial court says yes and agrees. So Walkovsky appeals. And the Court of Appeal, the middle level court, reversed and said, no, Carlton can be sued, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get him.
Reversed. And then this goes up to the highest court. I think it's, I forget the name of the court. The Court of Appeal, I think is, I don't remember the name of the court in New York, but it's the highest court in New York. Basically, their Supreme Court of New York.
Producer Jeff here to set you straight. The New York court system has 3 levels: trial courts, including the Supreme Courts, the appellate divisions of the Supreme Court, and the Court of Appeals. And now back to our regularly scheduled program.
Court of Appeal reversed and said, nope, Carlton's out. You can't sue Carlton. You can sue Sion Cab. Maybe you can sue him if you allege certain things differently, but basically he was out. So that's the basic part of the case.
You can't sue Carlton. You can sue one of his cab companies.
You can sue the one that was basically responsible.
When this, whatever, New York State Supreme Court or whoever
Mhm.
that is, the
Yeah.
high court, when they reversed it, they were like, well, it's only because you didn't dot this I, right? It was like a very precise, you did this thing wrong.
When the Supreme Court reinstated the trial court's ruling, well, they said a couple things, and I'll go through the reasoning now.
Okay.
But I was just telling you kind of the end result is they say, Carlton's out. You could go back and you could allege certain other things and maybe get Carlton back in, but not the other 9 cab companies. This is dealing with really 3 different related legal doctrines. They're kind of all interrelated here. One is called enterprise liability, which is there are 10 individual corporations. Each one is a different company, company 1, company 2, companies. They're all registered as separate corporations. And the plaintiff wanted to treat them as one giant company. You can't just cordon something off as just one company. We can treat the whole thing together. And on that point, the idea of enterprise liability, New York Supreme Court said, no, you can't. These are separate corporations. You can't treat them all as one.
Even though it's obviously shady.
Mm-hmm. Even though it's obviously shady.
It kind of reeks of like some, I don't know,
Somebody might have paid off.
Say something?
Yeah.
Perhaps. It's a big, the cabs, I mean, all of the cabs, that's like a lot of power, right?
Well, you
That's
can
cab power.
There's direct way to bribe
There's
and
no
there's
order back
indirect
then.
way. Yeah. You could just write the laws is one way to do it. You just write the laws and then you don't have to bribe anybody. You just write the laws in a way that is favorable for you. That's what lawyers do.
It's a classic pre-bribe.
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 Uh-huh. The second version is the law of agency. So the idea of agency is that when someone is an agent for someone else, they can be responsible for the thing their agent does. And so one theory would have been that Carlton was the agent of the Sion Cab Corporation that was sued and could be liable under that theory.
So he can't. So you can be. So as a driver, you're liable for what the agent does, or as a driver, your agent is liable for what you do.
So
you're Carlton.
So if I own Sion Cab Company and it has a driver and the driver's name is Bob and Bob's driving the cab.
Yeah.
Okay. And Bob runs you down and you sue Bob, the driver.
Yeah.
And then you sue the company that owns the cab because Bob is acting as an agent for the Sion Cab Company.
Oh, Bob's the agent. Not Carlton.
Bob is the driver. Okay. He's the agent of the corporation. Carlton, maybe he could have been. It depends on the facts. But the idea is, the basic idea of agency is when one person acts on behalf of another.
Okay. So Bob's acting on behalf of Carlton because it's Carlton's company. He's driving the car around. Okay, I'm
right.
Following.
And so the Latin phrase for that is respondeat superior.
Cool.
We love the Latin in the law, but basically that just means that you're responsible. It's vicarious liability. You're responsible vicariously for your employees' acts. And then the third legal doctrine that's going on in this case is the idea of corporate veil piercing. So piercing the corporate veil means that we're going to disregard the corporate form and we're going to hold the individual owners of the corporation responsible. Okay, so it's a disregard of the corporate formality. The purpose of forming a corporation is limited liability. If you form a corporation, you have an LLC, let's say, and the idea is if the LLC, let's say, signs a lease for a theater and you're going to open a theater and then the LLC doesn't pay the rent because the theater isn't making money. If you've done it as an LLC and the LLC doesn't pay the rent, then the landlord can only sue the LLC. They can't sue you as the owner of the LLC unless you sign something else promising that you would. But if the company doesn't do it, you're not, as the owner of the company, responsible. So if you have a lawsuit against Microsoft, you don't necessarily get to sue Bill Gates.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So that's called, so it's called corporate veil piercing. And in some situations, the courts will let you disregard the corporation. So in my LLC example, if Greenberry Lucas LLC only has one owner, and basically Greenberry is, using the money to also pay for Greenberry's dry cleaning and cat food and everything. And basically it's just an extension. It's your alter ego. It's the other you. It's the other
I don't have a cat, so I'm eating the cat food. It's
You're
crazy.
eating the cat. It's fine. It's crazy. So that's the situation. You're going to pierce the corporate veil. And so the owner of the corporation is going to be responsible for the corporate liability.
Okay. Wow.
Uh-huh.
We're getting into some layers here.
So these are all the different doctrines going on in this case. And the point, so because they've sued the Sion Cab Company, which was the owner of the actual cab that actually hit Walkovsky, and then Carlton, who's the owner of the cab company. So that's a veil piercing theory, right? That you're the owner of this cab company. And so you're personally responsible for what this cab company did. And then the enterprise liability, also the other 9 cab companies that you also own, they're all part of one giant enterprise, and we're going to hold them all responsible. Follow?
Totally. I'm getting every bit of this. It all makes sense.
Are you sure?
I'm
When people get really quiet, sometimes my guests get really quiet, and I'm like, okay, I think I've lost them. Have I lost them?
I'm still stuck on the purpose of corporation is limited liability.
I'm
okay.
thinking about my cat food dinner.
Okay.
I'm like really thinking about and that's why we have so many problems.
Uh-huh.
The
Right.
world is a messed up place.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
I could start a new Enron, bankrupt everybody, and go, sorry, that was Enron too. That wasn't Curtis.
As long as you don't buy cat food for
As long as I
yourself.
don't buy cat food.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole other diatribe about limited liability of corporations and things like that we could definitely get into about policy issues. And actually, this case does get into some policy issues because this whole point is, right, what the underlying policy issue is, you got a guy who got run down by a cab and the most money he can get is $20,000 because they set this company up in such a way that he's not going to get bupkis.
Which I realize now that he really, did you say Walkovsky is a woman or a man, or does it matter?
John
Doesn't matter.
Walkovsky.
They.
John,
Walkovsky,
uh-huh.
Yeah. Walkovsky, I'm realizing they must be pretty badly injured because 20,000 in the 60s is a lot more than it is now. And I was happy with my tiny little payout. So, so this person probably had a lot of medical bills and stuff that they were like at least trying to get that part.
I think so. And the insurance question is kind of a big part of the dissent. There's also a dissent, by the way.
Do we know how old this guy was? Does it say John who got hit?
Let me see.
AJ, nothing but a number, Lauren. I need to know how much
Or is he was gonna have a basketball career, but then
yeah, that matters. Yeah, they talked about that. I was gonna have a basketball career.
I know you're stuck in a basement eating cat food.
We
My
don't
failing
know.
Theater company.
We don't know. We don't know what his injuries were. We don't know how bad it was. We don't know.
We know
he was married.
We don't know if he's married. We don't know where he was
Could he perform
injured.
sexually afterwards? We have a lot
We
of questions
don't know.
about Walkovsky.
Yeah, I mean, We have to, I even checked the Wikipedia article, no Wikipedia coverage on this one. It's just, he's just a schlub who got nothing.
Yeah.
That's kind of the setup for the case. Corporations limited liability. We understand about that, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, the law is designed to protect these big old conglomerations.
Yeah, and if you set your stuff up right, you can totally avoid liability. That's the idea.
Okay, help me out, Billy. Give me some of this LLC
Right? Don't hate the
protection.
player, hate the game.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Robin Hood 'em.
I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules. I just use them to my advantage. And I write them to my advantage.
I do write them. Right.
And I actually am the one who makes the rules.
Yeah. Actually, the biggest example of how lawyers write the rules to their own benefit, the statute of limitations to sue a lawyer for malpractice is only 1 year. So everything else is 2, 3, 4 years. But if you don't sue your lawyer within 1 year, you're done. You are out of luck.
It's like, yeah, they made their own prenup.
Yeah.
They
Like-
made their own prenup.
Mhm.
You don't like this, you better
Like,
know within a
yeah,
minute.
by the time you realize this could have gone better, it'll be too,
Too late. It's too late. But get this, the statute of limitations for the lawyer to collect his or her fee is 4 years. So
Well, lawyers are busy. Yeah, they need more time.
you need more time. So guess how many days you wait to sue your client if they don't pay the bill?
0.
366 days after you stop representing them.
Because then they can't
They
sue
can't sue
you.
you. You can sue them.
But you can sue
I just
them.
don't got the math on that. Numbers are hard.
They are. Well, I guess in a leap year that would be inaccurate. So 367.
Like-
The classic Pirates of Penzance lawyer problem. They sue in a leap year and then they get sued right back.
Boy, I thought I was going deep cuts on referring to Laugh It. Pirates of Penzance take a whole other level, man.
Isn't that the whole thing of that? I'm trying to remember. Isn't it like, oh, I'm only 4 years old because I was born on a leap
I
year?
think that could be
I
right.
feel like
That's
that was-
probably right. We're
I
gonna
know
say
a
that's
leap year
right.
guy. Yeah, that's what their pride and joy to be like, I turned 2.
Which get a new thing. Like,
Yeah,
come on.
Good Lord.
That's the equivalent of like the person who in December each school year would go, see you in a year. Like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
know how it works.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did y'all have anyone in your classes that celebrated half birthdays?
Oh, that was me.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
don't we still?
Because I had a summer birthday, so all I got was the half birthday.
Yeah, that's what this kid did. I was like, wow, that this is like, that to me was like a special kind of parental love. I was a summer kid and it was like, maybe I got a
You
cake.
get half a piece of cake on your half birthday.
You get half a song. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
All right, let's move on.
All right, we're done. Like, what the hell? Sorry, all you got is 3.5 bars. That's what you got.
Lauren, did
Yep.
your parents bring snacks for your birthday? Your half birthday?
Yeah. I think also the half birthday was like a countdown, knowing like the next one's down slope. You're coming close to it.
Yeah.
In less than this many days. Yeah. But I also, I had to bring like snacks. I brought dreidels at Hanukkah to soften the blow of being a minority.
Mhm. Yeah.
The dreidels
That's
help.
the minority of being in a summer birthday. Right?
Yeah.
It's only a quarter of the population.
the summer birthday.
Well, and
Yeah.
also, like school year summer and summer don't exactly line up. So you could be a summer birthday and you could be born in the part of the summer that coincides with the school year. And you
Oh.
feel okay.
Oh.
August. I guess?
August kids.
Yeah.
I'm end of August, and so depending on which school district I was at, because we moved around
Right.
a bunch, sometimes I would have
Ah.
my birthday at school, sometimes not at all.
Oh, wow.
So I really got to experience both the
Both.
pain and the
Yes,
joy
okay,
of the school
great.
and the summer birthday.
You understand both Lauren and I. Curtis.
Exactly.
Lauren very well loved me.
Only I can bridge this
Yes,
gap and
thank you.
communicate.
Thank you.
So the idea is it was so agency, right?
Agency.
So,
Yeah.
sorry. Agency, the driver is working as an agent for the corporation.
Right.
So you can sue the corporation based on the actions of
Right.
whoever this driver was, who we don't even know his name, right?
No.
Did we?
The driver
Named
was,
him Bob.
I think the driver was sued, but we're just calling him Bob. Bob's a small,
Bob
Right,
small
so Bob-
kid.
Bob was sued, but Bob is just the agent, so we're suing the corporation, right? And that everybody is fine with. Every court was like, "Yep, yes, yes, yes."
Right. You,
Okay,
yeah, you
great.
can sue the company that, that the person works for. Yeah.
But then the corporate veil piercing part is where they like, or that's like what they were going for with this lawsuit. That's what the people suing the company was going for.
Yeah.
And then some of the courts were like, well, you can't actually pierce this veil. This veil is too good.
Hmm. Yeah. If you kind of imagine it like a family tree, if you have Carlton kind of at the top of the family tree, and then he's got 10 children. And the idea is corporate veil piercing is you can reach Carlton, he's the papa, but you can't reach the siblings. So
And also to be clear in this metaphor, also Carlton is all of his own children just wearing, I assume, kitty clothes. Right? Like Carlton is both the papa
Different hats,
and
right?
all of the
yeah, and all the
different
children.
hats.
Yeah.
Now this is this company. Now.
Yeah. Right.
I'm Carlton Jr.
Yeah. Exactly. So the enterprise liability piece, the court says you cannot do that. You can't sue different corporations just because they have the same owner. Sometimes it's called reverse veil piercing. Veil piercing being you're looking behind the corporate veil to the stockholder or the owner. So, Greenberry Lucas LLC is owned by Greenberry Lucas. We're going to sue Greenberry Lucas LLC. And we say, Greenberry Lucas treats Greenberry Lucas LLC as her personal plaything, and we're going to go right past it because Greenberry Lucas has all of that money, and Greenberry Lucas LLC's got bupkis. But reverse veil piercing is we say, we've been harmed by Greenberry Lucas LLC. We're going to sue Greenberry Lucas, and Greenberry Lucas also owns. What else does Greenberry Lucas own?
A bunch of peanut butter stocks.
Bunch of Peanut Butter Stocks LLC. It's the other company that Greenberry Lucas owns. We're not going to sue Bunch of Peanut Butter Stocks LLC because it's a sibling. It's another corp.
It's a bunch of cans. Bunch of empty cans.
Oh, the highly valuable cans. And in this scenario, we really need those cans.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so in that situation, this is basically like, well, you looked behind the Wizard of Oz's curtain,
Right.
and the court is like, nope,
Can't look.
ignore, shut that curtain back, ignore the man behind the
Exactly.
curtain.
You
That is
can't
a
see the man
separate
behind the
company.
curtain.
Right.
Just sue the big head. You can only sue the big head. You can't
The
sue
man behind the
tiny
curtain.
guy.
Exactly.
Big head, not the tiny head.
It's the classic case of big head versus tiny
It's
guy.
the
Yeah.
classic.
So true. That is so true.
Listen to Laying Down the Law, season 1, episode 400 for big head versus tiny guy.
Exactly.
If we could go back to that Hydra, it's a variation of sizes of heads.
Right. And the court says, look, if you think this is a problem, then you need to go to the legislature to fix it. Right. The legislature allows cab companies to set it up this way, and they allow this minimum liability insurance. And if you think insurance ought to be better, then go get the legislature to change the laws. We're not in the business of changing the law. However, they do throw a bone to Walkovsky, and they say this, not to say it's impossible for the plaintiff to sue Carlton. He just failed to do so here.
Hint, hint.
Right. And he says this is not a case of simple agency being like an employment situation, but it's actually fraud. It's a fraud analysis. And so the complaint alleges that the separate corporations were undercapitalized and their assets are intermingled, meaning each corporation had very little money and they're just mixing the money back and forth. It doesn't have anything particular to say that Carlton and his associates were actually doing business as individuals and shuttling their personal funds in and out of the corporations. So that's really the difference. That alter ego, when you're looking at the owner of the corporation, are they using the corporation as their personal plaything?
The cat food.
Okay.
The proof
Yeah,
is
so if
in
Greenberry's buying cat food, that's fraud. But if she's just using that money for what was it, cans of peanut butter LLC,
Right.
then that's fine. She can move all that money between those two, and we can't sue her.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
But as soon as she takes out some money and buys that sweet whiskers,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Fancy
Frisky
food.
whiskers.
That's right. Frisky whiskers. Exactly. That's exactly it. And basically they say, he didn't do it, but he could potentially go back and amend the complaint. Amend is to fix it or redo it, and could potentially sue Carlton if they can allege that specifically Carlton has taken money out of the corporation.
That's all you gotta find, and I guarantee you can find that easy.
Mhm. That's
How
right.
could you not, right? Yeah.
Right. The dissent basically says this is bogus.
What's a dissent?
A dissent is when you have an appellate court, usually there are a number of judges. So
Okay.
the United States Supreme Court has 9 justices, for example,
Okay.
usually. A lot of courts of appeal might have 3 justices. And so what happens is if the majority of the justices want to go one way on a case, and another judge wants to go a different way, they disagree with the finding, they can write their own opinion, and that's called a dissent. And
like
the
it.
dissent explains why I disagree.
Cool.
A lot of times, particularly when you're talking about the United States Supreme Court, as the law changes and evolves over time, the dissents become what the opinion is. And then sometimes the opinion becomes the dissent because the court is political and the appointees are political and the political winds shift and people's values change over time. And so,
Absolutely.
so sometimes precedent gets reversed in the Supreme Court.
Based on that dissent.
Well, not necessarily
Oh.
based on the dissent, but the dissent
Okay.
might have the trail of breadcrumbs, so to speak.
Okay. All
What the
right.
reasoning eventually would be. And it's really written to say, this is why I think the majority's wrong.
and it doesn't have like, you couldn't use that dissent in a court of law to prove that you're right. They're just doing it so that, well, hopefully if the law changes, I've already said
Mhm.
what I think will be the right thing.
Right.
Aha.
And it does have, I think the idea is that, in a case like this where you could kind of argue the result's wrong, that it's not right. Like it doesn't seem right that you should be able to structure your company so that it's impossible for someone to ever recover more than $20,000, no matter how badly they're injured. That seems like it should be wrong. And
Yeah.
here are the reasons why, and here's the legal reasons why I think that's wrong. Because a lot of times, legal reasoning is just a way of dressing up what we think anyway, sort of like using our argument skills to prove something we believed beforehand.
Our biases.
Exactly. And so he basically says, under the circumstances of this case, the shareholders should all be individually liable to the plaintiff for the injuries he suffered. The reason is that he says a participating shareholder of a corporation that's vested with a public interest. So here you're talking about a cab company, right? They have a public interest in safety that's organized with insufficient capital to meet the liabilities which are certain to arise in the ordinary course of the corporation's business, which I will point out, I had no knowledge that all 3 of my guests would show up saying, having been hit by a cab, and in Curtis's case, several times. So we can say to a certainty that these liabilities will occur in the ordinary course of a taxi cab business.
Back.
He said, I think the rule should be, when you do that, you're personally responsible. You set up a company that has no
Dang.
money and that company's going around hitting people, then you're on the hook for whatever damages it costs. Judge Keating, the dissenting judge, was outvoted, and he was the only one. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other justices or judges that voted the other way.
1,
Oh.
2,
He said
5 judges.
he said that he didn't think that the legislature's idea was to allow this to happen. This is just some clever gamesmanship by the cab company.
Oh yeah, we know what's going on. That Carlton cab company is a real bunch of scoundrels. This is what's going on. They're running people over,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just been happening since the 60s, and it happens today. And I'm sure he's still alive. They're still alive and still running people over.
Mm-hmm. Probably even more so. I mean, after this
Probably
decision,
more
they're like, why are we
Yeah.
having 2 cabs
What-
per company? Why not just one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not half a cab? You can only see the front half of my head. Sorry, the back.
We shouldn't hit
I backed
you,
over
right?
you. Yeah.
that math tracks if it's a $5,000 payout.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Each
much it.
wheel is one company.
Yeah. And this is, it does raise some interesting policy questions. When you think about corporations, if you can shield liability in that way, you could do some really bad stuff. And it's like, well, that's in a corporation. We're not responsible for whatever happens in that part of the corporation. So it incentivizes companies to put their riskiest operations into a shell company or into some kind of a small subsidiary so that the other parts of the entity are safe.
Ooh.
So they get sued for, I don't know, having toxic chemicals in baby powder or something like that. They're like, well, we're going to bankrupt that company. The rest of us is fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Johnson & Johnson is fine. You want to sue Johnson & Johnson, who owns all the cancer chemicals.
Exactly.
You want the 3 Johnsons.
Johnson.
Yeah, Jansen and Johnson.
Yeah.
Look, it's different.
Right.
Actually, a few episodes ago, we did a really interesting thing about the Johnson & Johnson heir, Seward Johnson, who was a pretty crazy philandering guy and left a lot of money to his young wife and cut all his kids out of his will.
Wow.
That's a different episode, though. Yep. Yeah. So
How do I get this Johnson & Johnson Carlton Cab LLC shields and lifestyle? That's what I need to know.
if you have a lot of money and you want to protect it from liability, you go hire a lawyer, say, I want to make sure that nobody can ever take a buck from me. Like, well, that'll cost you plenty in fees. That's fine. I'll pay you.
I have nothing to lose. I
don't want to pay the people I hurt.
I'll pay anything to avoid responsibility.
My fees will be $5 million. That's fine. I won't pay a penny to anyone else.
As long as I don't have to help other people.
Exactly.
These everymen walking around the streets in New York City, I want to run them down and not hand them over a dime, I say.
Well, when we come back, we're going to do a little improv.
Oh, boy.
All right.
All right, good.
Insert advertisement here.
And we're back.
Gotta catch my breath.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, John. As my lawyer, you've been very, very good. I generally appreciate what you do.
I know you do.
It's just that I was just looking back over the contracts, and there's a lot of I don't know. What it seems is, well, let's see, like right here, right? It says that I owe you the normal amount. Okay, that's fine. But then it says that also that you can slap me anytime you want.
That's right.
Right? And I thought, yeah, that's right. Ow, stop. Okay, so I thought that's illegal, right? So I went down to the courthouse and I looked it up, and it turns out that, John, you wrote a law that says that you can slap me.
That's true.
Okay, so could you not write that law, I guess, is my first question. And also, like, you got a law passed just so you could slap me?
Listen, if you want to file an anti-slap lawsuit, that's got to do with the First Amendment. Forget about that. I'll talk to you about anti-slap later. That's a lawyer joke. Sorry,
that's a lawyer joke. I'm sorry, I don't.
Ask Johnny Depp about it. Forget it.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I figure if I'm going to write my contracts, I might as well write the laws. It's really not that different. The law is a contract between me and the rest of society.
Why were you slapping me all the entire time you were explaining? Stop it. Ow. Could you? Ow.
Feels so good.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Also, could I just ask about the no flinching law?
Right. Well, I just don't want you to be a little baby.
Well, I'm not a little baby. I'm a man going through a divorce. That's why I hired you.
Right. You're a man who acts like a little baby.
Ow!
Stop flinching.
Slap me on the behind. Stop slapping. Okay, at least slap me in the face. No more slapping me on the butt. I feel too much like a baby if you slap me on the butt. Okay, I don't care what the law says.
All right, I'm gonna have to write a law about that too.
Oh my, as he's writing the law, I can see the words in the sky getting imprinted. Oh my, what is happening? This is like, I was going to say Stranger Than Fiction, the Will Ferrell movie. Doesn't that happen?
Well, everything I do is based on a movie, as you know.
I realized I'm thinking of the movie Delirious with John Candy, where he writes his own, he's a mystery writer,
Well,
and he writes.
could you possibly?
Oh, you slapped me right in the nose.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Could you possibly imagine me in a movie that has me with more money, like I don't know, The Great Gatsby or something? I mean, since we're constructing this reality based upon your imagination, I'd really appreciate it if you could give me some of the things that I want in this imaginary world.
I'm a cab driver, Bob. Just typing on my typewriter here, put some highlighter on, eating my hoagie.
But Bob, watch! You're gonna hit that person. It was a red light, Bob. I think you just blew through a red light.
What are you trying to drive? The backseat driver? I tell you what, these cabs, they're made to run folks over. That was like a speed bump. What do they weigh? 117 pounds? Ran right through them.
Oh God. This ID back here says that you drive for 3 different companies.
Hey, listen, I'm not here to talk about all the companies that I drive through. I want to get to know you. You look like an interesting person. I'm writing a screenplay, and I can see you like being a character. You could be like a oh yeah, so she's got this beautiful flowing locks of hair, her teeth are beautiful, smile, oh my God, her smile melts my provolone on my sandwich, it's melting. My God.
I'm happy to be interviewed. I wish you wouldn't type while you drive.
What's your
on
name?
the typewriter.
What's your name, cutie pie? I don't usually. I swear, I never do this. I never do.
Really, you never do? Because I could have sworn you really have a charm about you. I thought you might do this to all the girls you pick up.
I'm usually so focused on my craft here, my screenplay writing. I don't usually. No one catches my eye in the back there. You got an astute observation. You saw that I ran over a person. You're looking around at all my.
Wait, you just ran another red light. Oh God.
You know, red lights are suggestion. Oh no, there's somebody's foot.
Those are bicyclists.
Oh good, because I thought it was a freaking foot. They spread, or whether they flatten. What do the feet do? They do something. The bones, they do something and they don't. Anyway, I'm gonna put that in my screen. But that's an interesting line. The bones do something and then they don't.
Hey! Hey, man! You hit me! You hit me! I need a doctor now.
You see why I never stop at red lights? This guy biked right up to the window. Listen,
No, you hit me. I need a doc. Are you a doctor? You're also you're typing. You're driving a cab. You got
I also have a stethoscope because how much medical school student loans are. Very, very high price, even in this day and time. Very much a large amount of money.
Okay, well, can you look at my foot real quick?
Oh yeah, let's check this.
Excuse me, I have to be somewhere.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So whenever people let me practice medicine, truthfully, I didn't tell this guy that, but I did get my medical license revoked. But I carry my stethoscope around because I still have the education. You know, I could have told that guy what happened to his body.
I hear a lot of cab drivers come to this country that they were doctors before. So
yeah. You like that? You like a medical professional or a screenwriter? Which one are you more interested in?
I think this is me. Just pull over right. Okay.
No. I got it. It's around the block. We're going around the block, and I don't mind. I'll pull you right up to the door. I don't mind to pull a U-turn right here. I'll just pull a U-turn. I don't care.
Okay, just pop the trunk so I can get my furs.
You got it. Anything for you too. I never got your name or your number, or I imagine this might be your apartment. If you're interested in me, like just popping by.
I'm not sure if that's a good idea.
You're gonna want to read the screenplay when it's finished. I'm telling you, it's really I have a lot of nice things to say about you and about the city.
So, Bob, I've been reading your screenplay, and it's actually really good. It's really good.
Thank you.
I feel like you've kind of redefined a genre with what you're doing here, and I want to get it produced.
Well, that's what I was hoping you would say. I worked very hard working. I did a little. Don't tell the medical boards, but I did practice a little medicine.
Well, no, that's in the screenplay in the middle of the second act. Of course, there were like the 5 pages that were splattered with blood, which I thought was so unique and metaphorical.
Sometimes I leave the cab windows open, and when I squash somebody, right in the windows. It's crazy.
It's like the truth and fiction and reality are just all blending together. I really feel like this will redefine a genre.
Yeah, it's like a blender. You have a blender. I'm really into smoothies lately. I was thinking about getting a car that has a smoothie blender in it. Then I could like make my smoothies while I'm writing.
Well, that's what I loved about,
Welcome back to entertainment tonight. We have, of course, Bob, who's the first 100-tuple threat. Not a triple threat, not a director, writer, actor, but a director, writer, actor, taxi driver, doctor, Casanova, the first legally recognized Casanova ever, veterinarian, vet of the armed forces, the first person to ever walk on the moon.
Yes.
After Neil Armstrong. And about 93 other threats that we will come back to later. Now, Bob, this movie is incredible.
Thank you.
It's so multifaceted. Sorry.
Having my lunch. The reason I'm able to have all those accolades is I do it all. You see, I don't leave any moment to chance. Here we are. We're interviewing here
at a Quiznos.
Yes. Having my dinner. This is what they call having your cake and eating it too, which I think is a misinterpretation of the actual quote, but it's what I'm doing. I do it all.
Of course. Threat number 42 is that you are a linguist. You have taken apart language in a way that many people have never seen.
Ripped it apart, tore it apart, and threw it through some scissors. That's what I did.
You threw it through some scissors. The first person, Bob, also to reinterpret how we use scissors. Yes. No longer for so many years. I know I grew up cutting them up, using the scissors with my hands rather than throwing things at the scissors.
You weren't thinking. Amazing. You weren't thinking. I'm always thinking.
None of us were thinking.
Just gonna clip my toenails.
Oh, okay.
It's important. It's important to maximize every moment. That's if you want to be like me. That's the key takeaway. Maximize every moment.
And that was our last interview with Bob. Bob, wherever you are now, this is in memoriam for Bob, who was hit by his own taxi while cutting his toenails, singing opera, and crying. For entertainment tonight.
So I'm wearing a trench coat. I am allowed to ask you anything, and you should feel obligated to answer.
Okay.
So
ask me anything you want to know.
Okay. What type of undergarments do you wear?
Oh, well, I usually wear at least 2 pairs.
2, double enough.
Absolutely. people would always ask me boxers or briefs, and I would say, who can decide? So I wear them both.
Very snug. You're really snuggling.
Oh, I like to keep the marbles tight in there.
Yes, don't want to lose your marbles.
I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times.
Yes. So as you know, there is a there was a severed head found in your apartment building in the laundry room. But I'm curious to know, how often do you do laundry since you're wearing 2 briefs?
Well, I do laundry about 2-3 times a day. I got to keep it clean with all my layering. You know, it's very cold and sometimes warm, and so I like to be ready for anything.
Yes, you really know how to navigate this city. I like that in an interviewee.
Absolutely. And for the record, I did not see a severed head in the laundry room any of the 21 times I went in the week in question.
Never did. It was setting very much in plain sight, which was an interesting choice. We thought you did see it, like setting right on the shelf by the fabric softener.
Well, here's the thing about duplicity, is that when you see things 2 ways at once all the time, sometimes you see nothing at all, and that's what happened in this case.
Is that like a bipolar? Duplicity, is that part of bipolar?
Duplicity is what you get when you take bipolar and you stand it on its head.
Okay.
Instead of having 2 poles going on and you're switching back and forth, who's got the time? Why not do both at the same time? You can be fully energetic and not be able to get out of bed both at the same time. That's what's fun. That's what I call a good time. That's a weekend.
Sounds
and the week too. That's morning, noon, and night. That's how I like to do it.
Wow, you're definitely very interesting indeed.
I'm so.
I'm trying to stay on the case, but I just want to know more and more about you. But this head that you did see,
peanut butter and chocolate. I got them both. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay.
Peanut butter and jelly. Why not?
Well, that one makes very much sense. It's very sensical, peanut butter and jelly.
Oh,
most people do that one. Peanut butter and chocolate. That's an
pineapple on pizza. Who's got that going on? That's craziness.
One of my favorite toppings. I enjoy.
Hold on, excuse me. Sorry. I'm going to talk to my officer for a second. Could you? It's real quick outside.
Yes, Sergeant.
You're too nice to this guy. You keep every single time he talks about something, you get enthralled in his story.
No.
He said duplicity is an interesting thing. That's the most lyingest thing I've ever heard somebody say. They said lying is interesting, and you said, well, that's interesting that you put it that way. Look, you got to get this case, okay? I've got faith in you. You can close this.
I truly didn't understand that meant lying. I did not connect those. Okay. Yeah, I know it's really.
That's okay. That's understandable. He did say he went in and out of the laundry room 22 times when there was a severed head. And he already knew when the severed head was there, which you had not mentioned.
Oh my gosh.
These are what normally I would say these are threads that we use to build a case.
Yes.
But in this case, these are highways that are like directly huge with big signs saying murder, murder, murder. Now, look, you're the only one who can close this case. Okay. Every other officer right now is out.
Yeah.
And I got a bad back and I can't do it. Okay. So you got to do it. Okay.
Yes. You're so good at your job.
I'm normally good at my job, but again, bad back. Okay.
I know.
So I'm going to go lay down under my desk.
Yeah,
okay.
thank you.
I'm going to close my eyes. Okay. Good luck.
Okay.
Good luck, officer.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. What was your name again, sir?
I'm so glad you asked that question. They call me Two-Faced.
I'm sorry. I'm going to talk to my officer real quick. Officer, look at your notebook. You wrote down the name.
I did?
You wrote down. You wrote down the name in the book, didn't you?
Oh gosh.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna start taking. I've been doing pictures of myself in this cool trench
You've been
coat.
doing pictures? Look, of course you've been doing pictures. I get it. I want to draw pictures. Everybody likes to draw pictures. A little officer book.
Yes.
You don't want to write someone a ticket. You want to draw a picture of what they would look like with a mustache, right? Come on, get this guy. Okay, I'm going back to lay down. Okay, I'm going to turn on Golden Girls and I'm going to lay down in my office.
It. Oh, geez.
Thank you. I will.
So two-tongue fork face.
No, it's Thomas Fork Tongue Two Face.
Thomas Fork Tongue Two. That's an interesting name. You know, apparently a trench coat does not an interviewee make. I've been reminded of some of my detective skills that I learned on the fly while the rest of the squad was out.
Look, a lie and a truth can both be false at the same time.
Listen, I'm gonna really hit you hard with some questions here. I know that you were in that.
You keep asking me questions, I'll keep telling you falsehoods. No problem.
That's an interesting idea. So you mean to say, like, whatever I say, you're gonna come up with something that's gonna be a little more interesting than what I asked?
What I'm saying is that everything I say is both false and true, real and false at the same time.
You're such a character.
That's what I've been told.
All right, so I want to welcome you all to the Duplicity Treatment Center, where we try to
Thank you. I hate
amends
you.
with our Duplicity life, okay, and maybe focus on one thing at a time. So if anybody would like to begin about how duplicity has wrecked their lives or the lives of their loved ones, that'd be great.
I'm really sorry. I'm not supposed to be here. I thought this was the supermarket. Okay, I'm gonna leave. I'm sorry, I didn't realize this was a treatment center. Can you just let me go?
Well, you're free to go, but also there's no way out. So okay, all right. So we'll see back around the circle in just a moment.
Well, I know why I'm in this Center for Duplicity. After I got my EGOT, my family just couldn't stand having me around so much. It just made them feel so insecure and insincere at the same time. And so they said, you know what you need to do? You need to go to a special place. And then I got here. Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony.
I'm a big fan. I'm actually not. I hate his work. He's a terrible actor. You're brilliant and very good in everything that you've done. He sucks balls.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's good to have a little bit of support and a little bit of critique. And you, ma'am, what should we call you?
Call me Betty, or call me Rebecca. Rebecca's when I'm feeling professional, and Betty's when I'm ready to have a party, and whoever knows what mood I'm in. You can call forth whoever you wish.
Well, Rebecca, let's keep it professional for now.
Oh, I'll keep it professional as long as I can.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but I think Becky belongs in the Duality Treatment Center. She doesn't belong in the Duplicity Treatment Center. Duality Treatment Center is just down the hall. Or maybe it's the other way. I don't know. Who could know? What's truth? What's up? What's down? But you don't belong here. That's true.
Listen, Thomas, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. I'm late. I just walked in. Very, very sorry. I'm here to run the Duplicity treatment. So I'm so glad everybody is here. Wait.
I thought I was running the Duplicity.
You got fired. You got fired.
But I could also not be fired, right?
I thought I was
fired
and running.
Wait, are you me?
Are we on a different timeline?
It's the Duality treatment.
Ooh, is this a party or a business meeting? Woohoo! Boo.
I got the sense this is a duopoly treatment center.
I like to play Monopoly.
Well, if it's duopoly, that would be like a monopoly for two, right? With less and less liability, there is a poly.
I think.
Yes, you're doing it. Yes. You're creating the new law.
Yes.
A duopoly
is an opoly.
Not a monopoly. Not one person owns everything. Yes. One person owns twice of everything.
Wow.
Yes, it's perfect.
We cracked the time spectrum.
But we only need to be responsible for half of the one instead of all of both.
I like it.
Well, Bob, I mean, your premiere went great. The scene where the Duality Center turned in the Duopoly Center and the
Thank you.
Duplicity Center, it was like mind blowing. It was like Charlie Kaufman and Charlie Chaplin got together to make a masterpiece. Like my mind was literally melting because I didn't know what was going on, but at the same time I was inspired. I mean, it's true genius. You're a master of the craft, Bob. I mean, amazing.
Thank you. I thank you very much. Yeah. I went on a hideaway for a little bit. I went into a cave and I was like, you know what? I've done too much. I've done too much for humanity. And I was like hiding out and I was like just eating a meal, not eating a meal and typing up my screenplay. No more taxi cab riding. No more toenail clipping with my own teeth. I was out there amongst the natures and the cabs. Then I was like, screw this. This is ridiculous. It's too much in my head. I got to get out there. I got to see how my movie did.
Well, your movie did fantastic, as you know, but unfortunately, all of your appearances on Entertainment Tonight have created some backlash, and I'm sorry to tell you, you've been canceled. Unfortunately.
What the HE double hockeys? That really gets my goat. This cancellation. It's like, so what? So what? You don't like me? So what? Yeah, I'm still here. I'm on this show.
Well, I think that was the issue. I think the whole faking your own death bit. I think that people didn't like that. So, genius. But then, faking your own death. It just, everyone. I think the whole entertainment industrial complex really turned on you.
What even is faking? Like maybe I did kind of die. A little bit of me did die, and now I'm revived. I'm revitalized.
I mean, when you put it that way,
I'm revitalized. It's great.
That's true. A little bit of us dies every day.
Put that on the tweets. Yeah, exactly. When hopefully we're reborn, hopefully we're always dying and being reborn and not the same old.
Yeah. You're like a philosopher. I mean, on top of all your multi-hyphenates, a philosopher was one of them that I forgot.
Yeah, thank you. Uh-huh. Yeah, don't forget that one. That's one of my best ones. How many listeners you got here, on this basement podcast, eh?
Wait, are we breaking the fourth wall right now? I'm legitimately asking.
I know it. I thought we what show am I on? Where are you?
What is real? What is going on here?
Am I in the cave again?
Bob, welcome back to Laying Down the Law. Billy DeClercq. We're now an interview show where I interview
I'm your host,
fictional
Billy.
characters.
Are we familiar with Plato's metaphor of the cave? Because I think that's what we just did. And the moral of the story is what? The moral of the story is art imitates life, imitates art, imitates life.
Exactly.
Imitates life.
What you see is what
Bob
you get.
is a good artist.
Is the cave about your mind?
What you don't see is what it is.
Essentially.
Yeah. On my other podcast, Laying Down the
moral is
Philosophy.
a lot of things.
Yeah.
Laying down game philosophy.
Exactly.
Plato's The Cave works pretty well with
Yeah,
this. Because the idea is like, oh, what if all of reality, if you were in a cave and you saw shadows on a wall, you would assume the entire world is just those shadows on a wall. You wouldn't know that really those shadows are just cast by something else. This is probably me.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So you don't know the whole world out there. You don't know that there's actually maybe 9 taxi cab companies. You don't know everything else, kind of like what's going on behind it. This is just like the veil. This is just that veil that's between everything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly right.
The veil, because Stevie Wonder says he's seen colors.
Yeah, I have no way of disproving it. When we get back, we're going to play Laying Down the Pretense, the game show everybody loves to hate and hates to love.
Insert advertisement here.
And we're back. All right, for those joining us for the first time, Laying Down the Pretense is a game show in which I ask questions, my guests answer, I award points arbitrarily, and everybody wins.
Yay!
I've been practicing.
Lauren, you won the toss. Today you're going to go first. The first question is, which fictional character are you the most alike?
Fictional character am I the most alike? I would say Elaine Bennis.
From Seinfeld.
Ooh, good one.
That judges? That is correct. Our judges also would have
that's
accepted
correct. That's correct.
Diane from Cheers, but
Okay.
but Elaine.
Oh, great one.
Yep.
Great one.
100 points. Coming out strong. Lauren jumping into an early lead with a perfect 100 points. Next question goes to Greenberry. Greenberry, which would you rather have? No nose, but have really good smelling fingers, or be blind and have a really nice smile?
What the heck? These are terrible options. She'd like to be a TV character. I have to leave my nose or my sight. I'm gonna take that smile, though. I'm gonna take that smile.
Well, that's the right answer. This was the trolley problem question, and you correctly answered that the trolley problem literally never occurs. We're like digging heavy into the philosophy this time.
Wow.
All right. This one.
Thank heaven.
So full credit for answering, not answering the question, for attacking the fundamental premise. I think in speech and debate they call it a K, attacking the premise of the question. Okay. Next one's to Curtis. Curtis, if you were going to be in a movie, which movie would it be?
Ooh, I want to know.
The life and story of Curtis, how he became the biggest and nicest celebrity the world has ever known.
That is correct.
There's several
that.
colons, by the way, in that title.
I think there are two sets of colons and a semicolon. It's the best punctuated movie title of all time.
That's our full quote. The best punctuated movie quote of all time.
That's correct. Full credit. Three-way tie, 100 points each. Wow, we are going to have to go to another round because we don't have a clear winner after one round. All right. The next question goes to you, Lauren. Lauren, what is the most useless invention of all time?
That's tricky. Well, most of Los Angeles would say the turn signal. But I disagree. I'm gonna go with back scratcher. Make a friend.
Back scratcher is correct. Make a friend is the reason. That is why we always say I got your back, because you can't scratch your own back. And with a back scratcher, you completely eliminate the need for other human beings. It's essential to our social fabric. Full credit, 100 points. That is a difficult one. I have never had anyone answer that one correctly on this show ever, because I've never asked it before.
That's great. That's great.
All right, another false dilemma to Greenberry. Greenberry, which should you rather have, the lottery or employee of the month every month?
Two great things. And this lottery is probably a trick question, because it's probably not millions of dollars, but I'm taking it. I'm going to say it's worth millions of dollars, and I'm taking that lottery. Take your accolades at work and get them out of here.
That is correct. That was a very easy question. Everybody knows that employee of the month is pointless and useless. The lottery, even if it's a $2 ticket, you're still better off.
If they're calling you an employee, you're not making much.
All right.
I like
100
how
points.
quickly Greenberry, you questioned the entire premise of it, of like it was the Twilight Zone. I see how you're doing. This lottery isn't anything, but I will take it.
You think you can catch me? Yeah.
It's like, this isn't another trolley problem question. This one's
You
easy.
think you've tripped me up?
Okay, monkey's paw. I see what you're doing here. I do want to be the president, though,
Yeah, I'll
so
take that.
I wish to be the president.
Oh, monkey's paw.
I'll do it.
All right. And the last question, second round, goes to Curtis. Pineapple on pizza?
No. No, not at all.
Cancel him.
All right, well,
yeah, he is out. He is out.
this question's actually being graded on it's being graded on the tone of voice used, actually. And so the extended long no gets full credit. Had you just said no, you would have been wrong. But instead you said no. and that's the winning answer.
One thing I learned about this game is, you know how they say, like, if you're doing a standardized test that a teacher wrote answer C, if you're answering one of Billy's questions, answer it like you're falling down a well, and you're gonna get the point.
That's right. That's right. That's right. You don't need to know the answer. You just need to know the person giving the grade. Okay, this one, we are tied at 200 each going into the bonus round. So the bonus round tiebreaker is same question to all three of you. You can take one item to a desert island, and what do you choose? And this can be in any order.
I know.
Desert island. Okay.
Okay, Greenberry, go ahead.
I got I'm gonna have a water bottle full of water. Thank you.
Oh, that's a great answer. Water bottle full of water. That is an excellent answer. You'll be well hydrated for one day.
Take that, monkey's paw. I'll take one bottle of water. Good luck putting me on a desert island.
I mean, you know, I want to be the genie in the lamp that you rub. That's all I'm saying. Like, very easy wishes. You're like, sure, you can have a lifetime supply of paper clips, whatever.
Take it.
Oh shit, I think we just lost her.
Wow.
The money ran.
Yeah, she took that water bottle.
I don't know if she's gonna come back. That was awesome. Did I make her disappear with the whole genie? Art imitates life, imitates art. She's like, my wish came true. I'm out. Greenberry just went to Nirvana right now.
Wow.
Oh my God. All right. Well, if one thing is true, if art imitates life, in life the show goes on. Hopefully Greenberry is okay. I don't know what happened. But, so if you could take one item with you to a desert island, what would it be?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, of course. Do I have an
quick question,
outlet?
clarification question.
Electric
good
outlet.
question. Is there an electric outlet?
Is there an electric outlet?
I don't know.
It's a deserted island, but there used to be an electrician.
Right, there used to be like a whole, hotel.
Yes, for this hypothetical
hotel. There was a
There was a
hotel.
hotel there, but they left.
For this hypothetical
the
question,
Overlook Hotel. From The
we've
Shining
actually
was
created
there.
a whole. It's so interesting. It's like a D&D. Like we've created that. So yes, there's a solar powered energy plant. If you look off to the left, and then and then there are several elves up on the bluff. And let's see, what else can I tell you about this world? There's a giant ogre running at you. So you want to roll the dice and see, have you got that's all I know about Dungeons and Dragons.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. So then in that case, to the desert island, I'm taking my D20, a little 20-sided Dungeons and Dragons dice, so I can roll it. And if I roll real well, maybe the dungeon master will say, well, you rolled a getting off the island.
That's right. Oh,
save.
Curtis rolled a 7. 7 means you get to take the secret portal home. Curtis has won the game with the 7. I mean,
Take me back.
the desert island game.
Greenberry's coming out of the portal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I made it back.
Oh, fantastic. Art imitates life. I don't see you.
Wow.
I do. As I have a hair, do I exist?
That is wild, Bob. I see that Curtis's 7 on the desert island hypo brought Greenberry back in out of the portal.
Wow.
That's amazing.
What did he get? What did he bring?
Cool.
Oh, you'll have to listen to the episode.
Okay.
It's we only can't fill you in. So we don't do recaps.
Yeah, please don't put me back wherever that was. That was terrifying. Whatever you did, I don't want to do it again.
She went outside the cave. She
went
saw
outside,
reality.
yeah, she did.
Whoa.
It's like
Too much.
It's like the Matrix. She woke up and she's like, I'm in a little pod. Put me back in the.
I got things sucking on my back holes. It's
What
not
is this?
good.
Oh my God. I want to go back to sleep to that enjoyable imaginary world.
Yeah, let me walk around amongst my pals.
All right, Lauren, you've filibustered long enough.
I know I have. I guess.
By the way, I do like the filibuster that's like, wait, can I get a clarifying question? Is there an electrical outlet? That's a classic from high school. Hold on. Now let me just ask a question before I answer your question. Let me just pause it this clear.
How way to plug in my my Ninja smoothie maker or stereo? Because I'm split between those two.
You're one item. Need to plug in.
Does it have to fit in an overhead bin?
How's the spa scene out there on this deserted island? What's there like?
Is a yacht? Is that too big of an item to take with me?
And yacht is correct. You are the winner. Yacht is the getting out of jail free.
that's
Excellent answer.
smart.
Oh,
That's
one. What?
smart.
Thank you for playing. And that has been laying down the pretense. Good job. You're yourself a boss. Okay. All right. Well, that's been our show. I want to give each of my guests a chance to do some shameless self-promotion. What's coming soon from you? Where can people find you on the internet, social media, whatever? Lauren.
Oh, I'm just doing stand-up around town and stuff, and you can follow me on my social media and stalk me and show up somewhere where I said I would be and laugh a lot.
And your social media is?
It's L Orange MIC.
All right. So get some stand-up in the LA, Los Angeles area. Orange Mike. Curtis, what's coming next from you, and where can people find you on the internet and socials?
People can find me as Actually Curtis most places. You can listen to my podcast, Improv Beat by Beat. I'm working with the Comedy Co-op at comedycoopla.com, and you can find out about that. We're hopefully going to start our big fundraising drive soon, and then we're already putting up pop-up shows everywhere, so you can see that. And I don't have a Megaplex show coming up, but if I do, you could see me there, so that would be nice.
Awesome. Perfect.
That was a conditional
plug.
I'm plugging something that may happen.
If you're listening to the podcast, go to a computer and Google Megaplex and see if there's a show coming up. That's what's being promoted right now.
Yes, but not Megaplex, the furry convention in Florida, which we learned there is after we named our show the Megaplex.
The improvised movie musical.
Somebody's gonna show up in a costume.
That's what they're gonna do.
Very disoriented.
No, wait. That's called
Florida.
Cat. That's called Cats. And yes, Cats is a very layered musical. Actually, there's a lot to it.
Is there?
No.
The one thing about cats is that they're not dogs. The end.
Yeah.
That was the song cut from Cats.
We're not dogs. That's actually
We're not dogs.
Yeah, we're not
Literally
dogs.
is how they end the whole show.
I know.
We ain't the bitch.
Greenberry, what is coming next from you, and where can people find you on the internet?
No, you just never know what's happening with me. I'm on most of the internet too. Greenberry Lucas, spelt like it sounds, I think. Green, the color, and berry, like B-R-R-Y, Lucas, L-U-C-A-S. I do know I have a show at the Improv Lab, which I'm excited about. It's on May 29th. That's
Yay!
Thank you! That's the thing I know about it. Everything else, thanks!
And based
I'm
on my
like
production schedule, that's just so you know, that's May 29th, 2022, which may very well be in the past by the time we release this. But given my extremely slow production schedule,
Is to promote the past.
promoting what happened in the past.
Yeah.
But of course, Greenberry will have that copied on the YouTube or something. Put up a
who
link or
knows?
something. Who knows? Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
If you ain't there, you may not get to see it. Some of this stuff is not for public consumption. It's for
Yeah,
freaks to
the
come
question-
out.
The question really should be, what's coming from you in the next 1 to 2 years? Because
Yeah,
that's about how long it's going to take me to produce this.
Yeah, that you never know.
What are you
That,
going to be doing in 2024? Is really what we want to know.
You know, I did break.
I like.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say now this feels like aspirational plus.
Yeah.
Like we can now say,
In that
well, you'll see
case-
me hosting SNL.
Yeah,
when this
Netflix special,
Yes.
sorry, HBO special.
Yeah.
Let's shoot clear.
Yeah.
Where we literally have broken time and we just name and claim the things we want. I did go into that cave space. I can tell you all if it's going to happen if you really want to know.
Oh my God.
Ask me anything.
Oh, look at that.
I've
That
seen it.
is awesome. Well, that's our show, folks. I'm Billy DeClercq. You can follow me on Twitter at MaxHeadroomESQ. And sorry, Lassie, I do not understand barking. Thanks to our guests, Curtis, Greenberry, and Lauren. And goodbye.